WABC New York, WRCR Haverstraw, and 107.1 WLIR Hampton Bays.
It's the 77 WABC News Hour.
Talking the news with Noah Layden.
All the news you need to know with Joe Nolan, traffic, Justin Ellick, sports. And now,
Talking the news with Noah
on 77 WABC.
Oh, yeah, that's me. Good morning. It is Thursday, June 18th. Your forecast from the 77 WABC Weather Center. Rain this morning, thunderstorms this afternoon, high 89. That rain's going to hold off likely until after the parade is over. And then tonight and overnight, partly cloudy, low 69. Friday, sun and clouds, high 83. If you are walking out the door with us right now, 66 and cloudy in Yorktown Heights up in Westchester. It's 67 and cloudy in Pompton Lakes over in New Jersey. And it's 68 and cloudy right outside our Midtown studios.
This is the Top 5 at 5.
New York gets ready to party with the Knicks. Oh no, there are more runway problems at LaGuardia. No real apology from the Gilgo Beach killer. A senior citizen gets caught up in a Bronx gun battle. And it was bear versus dog in a Hudson Valley backyard. All right, let's get into it at 5:04. The fans already coming in for the ticker tape parade that does not start for another 5 hours. It seems like nothing will stop Knick fans from being along the parade route this morning.
It's huge. I mean, this is like the most exciting thing that's ever happened to me in my life. Like, I've been waiting my whole life for them to win this championship.
I mean, I was at the Yankees, the Giants, and the Liberty. Yes, all those parades. I just want to see them when they pass on their bus, and I have to leave town at noon, so I have to see them around 10.
The parade starts near Bowling Green. It'll travel north along Broadway to City Hall. Mayor Mamdani says, it's been 53 years for the Knicks, so he's expecting this to be the largest parade in city history.
I mean, I think it's going to be absolute madness, like all around the city, especially downtown. Like, it's going to be just crazy everywhere.
I know everybody can have a good time. I just want to be safe. That's all. I don't want to see all these kids going crazy, but you know what? It is what it is.
So spots along the ticker tape parade route, a very hot commodity. Die-hard Knick fans who don't want to wait too long to see the champions or simply can't wait. Now, this is a story out there that they're paying up to $750 for someone to hold their spot.
I want to be a lifesaver there.
I don't like that. I mean, you have to be there early.
Yeah.
That's what it needs to be. Camp out there with your friends and wait, not pay other people. I don't like that.
I wouldn't do it myself, but I completely understand why people are doing it. I mean, you got to be there, right? You can't be there all day, but you got to be there at some point.
Now, the NYPD telling us that at some point they're going to cut people off from getting to the parade if it gets too large. And WABC's James Flippin, he's going to cover it for us and has a preview.
Good morning, Noam. Probably like a lot of people that if they're up early and listening to this right now, they might be heading to the parade thinking nothing was going to stop me. I wasn't going to miss this one. And after 53 years of waiting for a Knicks championship, I know for me personally, it wasn't that many years because I wasn't alive for some of them, but I certainly am among the many that were waiting during those often heartbreaking 90s years. But the pain and the heartbreak and the intensity, I think, as I've said to so many people during this whole run, is what we really missed. And the spirit and the love and the camaraderie that you're feeling right now from so many of your fellow New Yorkers about this Knicks run is really something special. And the vibes are just like so up right now. And why wouldn't they be? I mean, the subway stop by MSG, they're going to keep it orange and blue next summer. Jalen Brunson and Josh Hart just threw out the first pitch of the Yankees game. The Yankees kicked the crap out of the White Sox. I mean, Sid was there. This is the stuff of dreams. And for the millions that are going to come out today and get a chance to take in this parade, it'll be the same thing. I've been to one of these before. It was for one of the recent Giants Super Bowl championships. I say recent, although that's been many years now too. But this should be a lot of fun. Really looking forward to it. I'm going to meet Nino Danino and Mike Didino of our digital team down by City Hall. And so we'll be all camped out where the route ends. Goes from, of course, Bowling Green, Battery Park, up Broadway, the Canyon of Heroes, and then stopping at City Hall Park South. Then the players and the coaches and their families will make their way into the City Hall area where they'll get the keys to the city. So just a classic and amazing moment for Knicks fans and just everything Knicks, and that's what's going to happen. So James Flippin en route to the parade for 77 WABC.
All right, so when the crew is set up and ready to go, about 5:40, we will check in with them again. WABC News Time 5:09. Here we go again. A runway at LaGuardia shut down yesterday after a depression was discovered in an approximately 2-inch, it's like a gap, a hole, adjacent to runway what they call 422, identified yesterday as they were doing a normal run-through, a walk-through of the runway. It was shut down about 5 o'clock yesterday while they conduct testing, work to determine the cause, perform repairs. There are 2 runways at the airport, so planes will continue to arrive and depart, but this is going to cause some disruption. Here were some flyers talking about this yesterday as they saw their flights delayed.
I'm glad that they're taking the precautions to shut it down. To be honest, I'd rather it be shut down than to be going through a sinkhole area.
Yeah, well, that's true. Departures at LaGuardia were delayed about an hour. This is the same runway that had that large sinkhole last month, which forced it to close for a number of days right ahead of the Memorial Day weekend into the Memorial Day weekend. So frustrated flyers yesterday watched as flights were delayed, but a lot of them had that same attitude. They said, well, it's safety first.
That's kind of terrifying,
yeah.
Especially if it's happened before.
It was pretty mind-blowing the first time.
I guess it's just a compounding issue that we're already kind of feeling with travel, that just like safety and just travel time in general are kind of just on a decline.
Now, maybe none of this should really come as a shock because LaGuardia was built on a landfill in Flushing Bay about 100 years ago. Officials urging travelers to check with their airlines this morning to make sure everything's taking off. So far, it looks like things are taking off mostly on time this morning. 5:11. This was just a horrific story out of Central Park yesterday. A teenage tourist was on one of those horse and buggies doing what tourists do going through Central Park. The owner of that horse got off the horse and buggy to take a picture of the family inside. This idyllic trip through the green space then took a nightmarish turn for the group. The horse got spooked as the horse owner was taking that picture, that photo, and took off. This was right near 71st and Center Drive about 3 o'clock yesterday afternoon.
That's a horse incident right here, guys. That's crazy.
Yeah, the place was packed, of course. It was beautiful.
Are you guys okay?
It happened so quickly. They didn't have a chance to think about, running or getting out of there.
Yeah, so what we're being told is the horse's owner was at arm's length from the horse taking this photo when the carriage and the horse just took off, spooked by something, not clear what it was. Here's the head of the Transit Workers Union.
Something happened. He said he didn't hear anything. He didn't, he was with the arm's length reach of the horse. He didn't hear anything, didn't see anything. Horse took off.
Yeah, so this teen passenger who's here on a visit, a tourist, 18 years old, Romank Mahan, was thrown from the carriage. He hit his head, and then he died in the hospital a short time later. The carriage hit another carriage, and it turned over. It's not clear how this 18-year-old died, but you could see there is video of it, and you can see him being just thrown from the carriage as it took off.
I was on Fifth Avenue, and I heard the horse got spooked by Cherry Hill, and it's on the floor. So I immediately got on my bike and came all the way to Cherry Hill. When I got to Cherry Hill, there was a lady on the floor with the paramedics, and there were no horse.
Yeah, so the owner did catch up with this fleeing horse not too long later. The 7-year-old horse that's named Samson appeared to be fine, uninjured. But of course now, this is the second incident in the last 2 weeks. So we told you last week about a horse that died, collapsed in Central Park after eating a toxic plant. And after that took place, there were more calls for banning horse and buggies in Central Park. And the Mayor Mamdani, said last week he was on board with that ban. I imagine this will just amp up that conversation over the next couple days. 5:13, let's go overseas. President Trump praising the U.S.'s agreement with Iran. Speaking at the G7 summit in France yesterday, the president says this peace deal with Iran is monumental.
Reached an agreement with Iran that achieves everything we set out to accomplish, everything and much more. ending the current conflict, reopening the Strait of Hormuz.
A 14-point memorandum of understanding between the U.S. and Iran signed. Now, this agreement calls for negotiations to continue for 60 days to reach a final agreement to end the war.
Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. They can't develop it, buy it. They can never have a nuclear weapon. The past 2 days have provided a chance to discuss the details of this historic agreement with many of our closest friends and allies, including the G7 nations and many presidents and prime ministers, as you saw.
Now, Israel not happy with this deal. They had Hezbollah in Lebanon on its heels, wanted to finish them off, but part of this deal calls for them to end their hostilities. So yesterday you had the U.S. ambassador to Israel trying to smooth things over, Mike Huckabee, at a conference in Tel Aviv.
Without Israel, without the Jewish Foundation, there would not be an America. We owe our very existence for what happened in this land.
He was trying to make nice with Israel. White House officials have publicly laid out the terms for this memorandum. It will halt hostilities for 60 days to allow time for a final agreement to be reached. And President Trump says as part of this deal, Iran will never produce nuclear weapons. The Strait of Hormuz will be reopened almost immediately, and the U.S. naval blockade of the strait will be lifted. Sanctions will be waived so Tehran can start selling its oil on the global market again. And in a moment, we'll stay overseas. As part of this G7 summit, you had the War Secretary, Pete Hegseth, speaking before a group of people, making some surprise statements, and we'll get to that in just a moment. But first, 5:15, let's head over to the 77 WABC Sports Desk. Good morning, Justin Eller.
Good morning to you, Noam Al-Layden. Obviously, we start here looking ahead to this big championship parade today. Obviously, you've talked a bunch about it already. What time does it get going? 10 a.m. Noam Layden?
10 o'clock it begins, yep.
Down the Canyon of Heroes. Where exactly does that begin? What are our cross streets here?
The cross street? Good question. I know it starts in Battery Park.
Okay.
And then it ends right at City Hall. That much I can tell you for sure.
No, that's actually not that.
It's a short route.
Yeah, it's not that long of a route.
No.
Well, we're looking forward to it starting at 10 a.m. Obviously, we got our guy James Flippin on site there. So we'll talk to him a couple times here throughout the morning on the parade route. See how that crowd starts swelling up as the morning moves along here. We'll head to the Bronx last night on the Diamond. Cody Bellinger hit an early homer and finished a triple shy of the cycle. Paul Goldschmidt homered for the third time in 4 games, and the surging Yankees used another big inning to beat the White Sox 10-5, taking the first 2 games and the series from Chicago amidst a 3-game set. After Jalen Brunson and Josh Hart threw out ceremonial first pitches to continue the celebration for the NBA champion Knicks, Yankees won their 4th straight, and for the 9th time in 13 games since losing star slugger Aaron Judge indefinitely to that fractured right rib. New York also equaled its largest lead atop the AL East by moving 3.5 games ahead of Tampa Bay. Jazz Chisholm Jr. became the 5th Yankees player to reach double-digit homers this year when he went deep in the 7th for a 10-3 lead. Jose Caballero added a 2-run single in the 5th, and Volpe hit an RBI triple in the 2nd. Ali Sanchez contributed an RBI single in the 2nd and reached base 3 times. Carlos Rodon allowed 3 runs and 7 hits in 5 innings against his former team. The lefty struck out 7 and walked 1. Up next for the Yankees, the lefty Ryan Weathers gets to start in tonight's series finale with the Yanks vying for a sweep of the White Sox. First pitch from the stadium scheduled for 7:05 p.m. In Cincinnati, Bo Bichette continued his hot streak with 3 hits. Rookie Nolan McLean struck out 9 in 7 innings, and the Mets averted being swept with the 9-1 victory over the Cincinnati Reds. Francisco Alvarez and Juan Soto also had 3 hits apiece. New York had 15 hits, which is tied for its 2nd highest output of the season. McLean allowed 1 unearned run and 3 hits as he went 7 innings for the 3rd time in 15 starts. It was Carlos Mendoza's 205th victory as Mets manager, 3rd-year skipper, past Jerry Manuel, and moved into 9th place on the franchise's win list. Up next for the Mets, the lefty Sean Manaea will start tonight's series opener of a 3-game series in Philadelphia. First pitch against the Phillies, scheduled for 6:40 p.m. And this morning, in just a couple of hours, 126th U.S. Open Championship set to get underway at the historic Shinnecock Hills Golf Club in Southampton. You're not getting out to that this weekend, no. No, not to watch some golf.
You probably couldn't pay me to go to that.
Come on, Shinnecock's a nice little golf club.
It's beautiful. No, I'm just not a big golf guy.
No, you're not. Well, last year...
Are you going?
No. Oh. I've never been to a patron at a golf event. It's actually something on my bucket list.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to get out to Augusta National, but yeah, one of these major tournaments that ends up here locally, why not? You know? Get lucky. but that's somewhere down the line for me. Your defending champion, J.J. Spawn, he was a surprise last year, won the 2025 title at Oakmont. Scotty Scheffler is your favorite this year, his 15th consecutive major as the pre-tournament favorite or co-favorite here, and he enters the week with a chance to complete the career Grand Slam with a victory. So we're getting going here in just about an hour and a half, or two and a half hours. 7:52 a.m. is your first tee time. That'll be Rory McIlroy, Ludwig Aberg, and Tommy Fleetwood. Scotty Scheffler gets off at 8:14 with J.J. Spawn, your defending champion, and then an amateur in Mason Howell. And World Cup action tomorrow afternoon at 3 p.m. United States and Australia. Looking ahead to that as well. That is your Sports Know, and I'm Justin Ellick on 77 WABC.
WABC News Time 521, the G7 summit wrapping up at a meeting of defense ministers in Brussels this morning. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth is urging U.S. allies in Europe to take the lead on the defense of their own continent. This is part of the 32-nation organization. He wants to turn it, what he calls, into NATO 3.0, capable of deterring any threat.
Too many allies still don't recognize the historic need that President Trump has made clear to them and to NATO itself to reforge a relevant, powerful military alliance. Europe was not supposed to be a dependency of the United States. That's not what Winston Churchill or Charles de Gaulle or Konrad Adenauer wanted or expected. No, Europe was supposed to be a military power, allied with a strong America.
Hegseth's remarks come just a few weeks after the U.S. told its allies that it would no longer supply certain warships and aircraft if one of them comes under attack. There are now 856 cases of Ebola in Congo and Uganda, 198 confirmed deaths in both those countries.
That's the latest total in an update given by the CDC this week. The CDC recommends avoiding non-essential travel to those areas and says the overall risk to Americans and travelers remains low. There are no Ebola cases in the U.S. linked to the outbreak. An American who tested positive for Ebola doing humanitarian work in Congo has fully recovered. I'm Michael Kastner.
5:23. Let's bring it home down to Washington, D.C. Kevin Warsh says he's focused on one thing as the new Fed Reserve Chair.
Getting monetary policy right, or as near to it as we can do. That is our North Star.
He spoke following the Fed's announcement yesterday that it's going to leave interest rates unchanged. He says the U.S. economy expanding despite that Iran war. He said, unlike his predecessor, Jerome Powell, he says he will not provide long-term rate and economic projections, but will give what he calls medium projections.
Economic activity is expanding at a solid pace, despite elevated uncertainty that owes in part to the conflict in the Middle East. This week's FOMC meeting exemplified the very best of the Fed's traditions: rigorous debate, open-mindedness, commitment to mission.
From Washington, let's go down to Mississippi, where the fatal shooting of a 1-year-old child by a police officer there sparking outrage. Correspondent George Solis reports the incident happened Sunday in a Sanatobia when police say they were responding to a shoplifting call out of a local Walmart and encountered two adults and a child in a parking lot.
Authorities say the two adults, now identified by the family's lawyer as the boy's mother and her friend, tried to get away, driving toward and nearly hitting an officer. Another officer then firing at the car.
The three later turned up at the hospital. That's where the child was pronounced dead. One of the adults critical condition. The officer who fired been placed on administrative leave.
Investigators say the trio ended up at a local hospital where the 1-year-old was pronounced dead. One of the adults suffering critical injuries. No officers were injured. The family of Cohen Wiley now distraught and demanding answers.
Yeah, and the child's grandfather speaking out yesterday.
I don't know anything. Right now, my grandson gone. I just want justice.
So police in riot gear deploying tear gas yesterday in an effort to disperse hundreds of angry protesters who gathered outside that Walmart. 5:25, federal prosecutors are accusing more than a dozen people in Minnesota of conspiring to interfere with federal officers during those immigration crackdowns earlier this year.
The MO of these particular operators is to exploit legal protests that were ongoing for their illegal acts.
That's the Minnesota U.S. Attorney Daniel Rosen. He says 15 people now charged with conspiracy to impede or injure ICE agents during this year's raids in Minneapolis. Prosecutors allege they have ties to the so-called Minneapolis Antifa groups.
To those who choose to threaten or harm federal officers, we will hold you accountable. We will defend federal officers. We will protect the public. We will enforce the law. Charging 15 defendants with conspiracy to impede or injure federal officers and other charges related to efforts of 2 Minneapolis-based Antifa groups that violently opposed the enforcement of federal law in our state.
Authorities say 12 of the accused were arrested yesterday. 526, NFL star Antonio Brown is allowed now to travel to Turks and Caicos this weekend for a rap performance, despite the fact that he's awaiting trial in Miami for attempted murder.
I thought he was training and training people, but now he's rapping also? Is that a new job?
His attorney says he's been rapping for years with concerns about international travel. The judge has ordered Brown's ankle monitor track him through GPS. The company would immediately report if it's been cut, and it requires him to appear in court via Zoom on Monday to prove that he's back in Broward County in Miami.
Just to travel to be there before, to be organized. Practice the day before and then Saturday, then come back the next day.
Yeah, prosecutors not happy about this at all, that he's being allowed to travel.
To the state, this is just a party weekend.
The judge has her concerns, too.
It's a request for international travel, and it's gone beyond what I had contemplated and agreed to many months ago.
Yeah, Brown is accused of shooting at someone outside a boxing match last year in Miami. He's charged with attempted second-degree murder, and he claimed at the time, and still does, the stand your ground self-defense down in Florida.
It's the 77 WABC News Hour.
Talking the news with Noam Laden.
All the news you need to know with Joe Nolan, traffic, Justin Ellick, sports. And now,
Talking the news with Noam
on 77 WABC.
Yes, that's me. Good morning. It is Thursday, June 18th. Your forecast from the 77 WABC Weather Center. Going to see some rain this morning, thunderstorms this afternoon. But what we're being told is this will all hold off until the parade is over. Let's hope that's the case. The high 89. Tonight and overnight, partly cloudy, low 69. And then Friday, sun and clouds, high 83. If you're walking out the door with us right now, so happy you are. 66 cloudy in Yorktown Heights up in Westchester. 67 and cloudy in Pompton Lakes over in New Jersey. And it's 68 and cloudy right outside our Midtown studios. WABC News Time, 5:39. The crowds are already beginning to pour into Lower Manhattan for the big ticker tape parade through the Canyon of Heroes today for the Knicks. Workers were seen even into late yesterday attaching new signs renaming Lower Broadway Champions Way for the celebration. Then they set up the stage at City Hall where the mayor will hand keys to the city to the Knicks. And they did a run through with the mayor yesterday. You want to make sure, of course, they get it all right. Here was the mayor talking about this big day that's underway.
It feels as if the entire city has rallied around this team, and some of it is the weight. Some of it also, though, is that people are so excited to be outside with one another, are so excited to be a part of something bigger than
The celebration will mark a huge operation for law enforcement. The NYPD plans to have what they described their largest deployment ever for a scheduled event. They've assigned, listen to this, 10,000 uniformed officers. That's nearly a third of the entire department to police the parade today. That's how big they think this thing is going to be. Here's the NYPD Commissioner Jessica Tisch.
We want this to be a safe and memorable celebration for Knicks fans and for New York City. But public safety comes first, and we are planning accordingly.
Yes, so security measures will mirror those that have been used at other major parades. Spectators required to pass through screening checkpoints. They'll enter viewing areas from designated blocks away from the route. Bags, other items, though, are prohibited, so don't bring them with you today. And the fans, well, they're up already. As we've heard, that trains into the city are more crowded. New Yorkers up early to see this parade.
I don't see what other parades would match this one. 53 years in the making.
We've been waiting 50 plus years, and so it feels like
worth getting up early for.
Yeah, so this Knickmania is just everywhere. So remember during the playoffs into the NBA Finals, Ben Stiller, who's been a Knicks superfan for a long time, seemed to be filming everything. Well, he made an announcement yesterday that sure enough he was for a documentary about this Knicks team. It's not clear when it'll come out, but he says that's why he had that camera in hand on the sidelines during those Knicks games over the last couple weeks. And whenever these Knicks have showed up, right, so we've seen the players on the Today Show, Good Morning America, The View, Fox 5. I mean, they've been everywhere. Jimmy Fallon. And then, of course, you can't blame them. They're cashing in on their popularity. They're super celebrity right now. And they've been doing these signings all across the tri-state. I know in Jersey City, there was Karl Anthony Towns on, what's today, Thursday? On Tuesday, he was at the Newport Mall. And the line had 1,000 people in it. 1,000 people to see him. And then yesterday at Dick's Sporting Good in Ridge Hill up in the Hudson Valley, it was OG Anunoby who was there to sign autographs. And people got up, just like they're getting up this morning, early to get a place to meet him.
It was amazing. I just can't describe how excited I am. I got here at 5:30 this morning. 5:30. I started at number 50, but when I got there inside, I was 199. I was the 199th person in line.
Yeah, so unbelievable. I think he stayed and signed most of those things, but the line there just as long as it was at the Newport Mall on Tuesday. Hopefully we'll hear from WABC's James Flippin coming up in just a few moments. 5:43, let's go up to the Bronx, where a gun battle erupted on a street there yesterday afternoon, leaving an elderly woman and a young man injured. The woman's 79 years old. A 26-year-old, they were both shot in the left leg. This was about 1:30, middle of the day. University Avenue, 183rd Street in University Heights. So the wounded a man appears to have been exchanging gunfire with somebody else in the neighborhood in the middle of the day. That's lovely. When this poor senior citizen, she was just walking down the street, she got caught in the crossfire.
Bless her heart, Jesus. Like you can see blood coming out outside. Man, it happened so fast.
That witness talking to News 12. Both victims were taken to St. Barnabas Hospital, where they're listed in stable condition. Police looking for the other man who fled the scene involved in the shooting that took this senior, shot her in the foot.
79, that's crazy.
Yeah.
To recover from a bullet at that age, you know? These shootings, we don't know what they be happening for. They just happen in the instant, you know?
Yeah, so far they have not caught up with that second gunman. 5:44, the Gilgo Beach serial killer was given a chance to address the court at his sentencing on Long Island yesterday, and he didn't have a whole lot to say.
There are no words I can say. I'm responsible for what was said in this room, Steph.
Thankfully, the judge was not going to let him off that easy. The 62-year-old who was found guilty of murdering 8 women on Long Island over a 17-year period, beginning in 1993, calling him a coward.
A disgusting and despicable small man, and you're a coward. Get him out of here.
Yeah, he wasn't even apologetic. I mean, he said, I'm sorry, but that was it. Family members, including the daughter of victim Maureen Brainerd Barnes, read what were heart-wrenching impact statements yesterday.
I was only 7 years old when I lost my mother, and for the next 3 years she was missing. I had to wonder what happened to her.
Yeah, other families expressing hatred for Huerman, and can you blame them?
He is a selfish, entitled man who felt like my sister and the other victims' lives were his to destroy.
The Suffolk County District Attorney Ray Tierney was impressed with those victim impact statements given before the judge right before Huerman was sent to prison, life without a chance of parole.
They really said everything that needed to be said, and they're not. That's not what they do for a living. They spoke from the heart.
Yeah, they were powerful, including Lily, who is the daughter of one of the victims, Megan Waterman.
It's a day that I've been thinking of my whole life. The chance to finally speak up for her, it gives me comfort for her, knowing she can finally lay down, rest in peace, and he can't hurt anybody else.
Yeah, thank God. I strangled all those women. This sicko, this creep, this murderer. Well, now we don't talk about him anymore. He's going to spend the rest of his life behind bars. 546, let's head over to the 77 WABC Sports Desk, and here's Justin Ellick.
Finally. My God. I feel like we've been talking about this guy forever.
Oh, yeah, I don't want to talk about it anymore. I mean, these poor family members.
I mean, nobody knows how to spell his last name. You got the E, the U, then you got another E, then 2 R's. You don't even need to, right? He's just a Gilgo Beach killer. Sayonara to that guy. Anyway, your sports is sponsored by Pete Morgan of Peerless Boilers. Go to peerlessboilers.com to find a dealer near you. Peerless Boilers, the world's best built of boilers. We'll start on the diamond in the Bronx. Cody Bellinger hit an early homer and finished a triple shot of the cycle. Paul Goldschmidt homered for the third time in 4 games, and the surging Yankees used another big inning to beat the White Sox 10-5, taking the first 2 games and the series from Chicago amidst a 3-game set. After Jalen Brunson and Josh Hart threw out ceremonial first pitches to continue the celebration for the NBA champion New York Knicks, Yankees won their 4th straight, and for the 9th time in 13 games since losing star slugger Aaron Judge indefinitely to a fractured right rib. New York also equaled its largest lead atop the AL East by moving 3.5 games ahead of Tampa Bay. I don't know if you saw the pictures last night.
I did. Were they real pictures of Sid with Jalen Brunson, and who else was he with?
Josh Hart.
Josh Hart.
Yeah.
His arm around them.
I mean, it looked pretty real to me.
It wasn't AI. The both of them threw out the first pitch.
Yeah.
They said they were there.
It's tough to get it looking that real on AI. Usually, you know, the Yankees logo on somebody's jersey is going to be upside down, or Sid's going to have 3 ears.
And the real thing is, would Sid even know how to do that?
Right. No, he wouldn't. No, not at all. But he did have both of his kids there, Gabe and Ava. So maybe one of them might have been able to help him out. But
no, it was real.
It was definitely real. Yeah. Awesome night for Sid Rosenberg up in courtesy of Yankees president Randy Levine. Some cool pictures from last night. Maybe you see him on social media if you give Sid a follow. Up next for the Yanks, lefty Ryan Weathers gets starting tonight's series finale. Yanks going for a series sweep. First pitch from Yankee Stadium scheduled for 7:05. In Cincinnati, Bo Bichette continued his hot streak with 3 hits. Rookie Nolan McLean struck out 9 in 7 innings, and the Mets averted being swept with a 9-1 victory over the Cincinnati Reds. Up next for them, the lefty Sean Manaea will start tonight's series opener of a 3-game series in Philadelphia. First pitch against the Phillies scheduled for 6:40. The 126 U.S. Open Championship set to get underway at the historic Shinnecock Hills Golf Club in Southampton later on this morning. Defending champion is J.J. Spawn. He won the 2025 title at Oakmont, and he'll go out this morning at 8:14 with your betting favorite, the world number 1 this year's edition of the U.S. Open, Scotty Scheffler. He enters the week with a chance to complete the career Grand Slam with a victory, and so that gets going. Your first tee time is at 7:52 this morning. Rory McIlroy, Ludwig Eberg, and Tommy Fleetwood. And tomorrow afternoon as well, Team USA picking up their World Cup group play action against Team Australia. Both teams 1-0 thus far. That's a 3 p.m. start tomorrow afternoon. That's your sports, sponsored by Pete Morgan and Peerless Boilers. Go to peerlessboilers.com to find a deal near you. Peerless Boilers, the world's best built boilers. Justin Ellick, 77 WABC.
WABC News Time 550. The owner of a luxury clothing brand is accused of running a sweatshop right here in Manhattan. 44-year-old Andrea Marshall is accused of exploiting her workers, stealing tens of thousands of dollars from their wages over about 3 years. She also allegedly did not have workers' compensation insurance for her staff. The Manhattan DA's office says Marshall founded this manufacturing company back in 2021. It was right in the Garment District, right on West 39th Street. She was selling these high-end garments through luxury retailers. I mean, some of the items $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, and then she just wasn't paying the workers. In some cases, they would work 12 to 17-hour days. In other instances, there were employees who worked over 100 hours in a week. She was taking advantage of these people.
Makes it a sweatshop. No workers' compensation insurance, which is a key part of our law designed to protect employees in the event of a work-related injury. Not registering the business with the Department of Labor. And as I mentioned, the long, grueling hours with little pay or no pay at all.
That's the DA, Alvin Bragg. Marshall and her company, which is called Salon 1884. They've both now been charged with grand larceny. As we get ready for this big parade that we've been talking about all morning long, we're hearing from the first time from a cabbie who was outside of Madison Square Garden after Game 4, that comeback during Game 4, And he was unfortunately in the wrong place at the wrong time as those crowds came out to celebrate. The cab driver's name is Noureddin Batat. He says he'll never forget this violent night. He's still traumatized. Speaking through a translator, Batat, a 59-year-old father of 3, says that he was at a red light at 7th Avenue and 36th Street when that Knicks game ended. And all of a sudden, these crazed fans came out. They started damaging his cab, jumped on top of it. They grabbed him from his neck. Someone punched him on his head. And now he doesn't have a cab and he's injured.
He was scared to lose his life at the time of when they attacked him. From his neck, someone punched him on his head.
That's a translator for Batat, who says he wound up in the hospital. The executive director of the Taxi Workers Alliance says rowdy fans even tried to tip the cab over and set it on fire. Thank God he was no longer inside.
He had a dizzy spell. He's had a lot of back pain. He's continued to have. Also, his glasses were broken.
Yeah, so with the help of a tweet from superstar Moroccan-born, Bronx-raised French Montana, he set up a GoFundMe page when he heard about this cabbie. So far, at least as of last night, I didn't look at it this morning, they had raised $68,000, which is a big deal. You know, cabbie loses his job as cab. He has no way of making money.
Cab drivers are among the New Yorkers that keep people the safest on our streets. All we ask for in return is for you to also think of the safety of the drivers.
Yeah. When we lose one day, we lose like money because we don't have anything that backs us up. So thanks God he's alive, and thank you all for all your support. And it could have gotten worse.
Now police have arrested one creep, 21-year-old Saul Vargas, who turned himself in this week. He was one of the 3 that was captured on camera destroying Batat's vehicle. Batat says he no longer wants to be a cab driver, and who can blame him? He says he got a call from Mayor Mamdani this week saying how sorry he was for what had happened to him. 5:54, let's go up to Connecticut, New Canaan, where an elderly driver was rescued from a public swimming pool yesterday after he accidentally drove into it. This was about 10:30 in the morning at the Steve Benko pool on Wavenly Park Road. He was in a Tesla, and he was apparently trying to park, and he hit the gas instead of the brake and ended up in the pool. Now, thank God, the lifeguards were still setting things up at this point, and there was nobody in the pool, nobody around the pool, or this would not have been great.
Me and my coworker were setting up the umbrellas when we heard a loud crash, and we turned around and there was a car in the middle of the pool.
Yeah, so lifeguards and first responders, they jumped into this pool because they realized that this guy was unable to get out. This was lifeguard Mike DeUrso. He's just 18 years old. He said the man was conscious and alert, but the car began to take on water, and he said he didn't want to wait for EMTs to arrive or police or firefighters.
So the car began to sink a couple minutes in, and my concern was that the water would rise above his head and he couldn't be able to breathe.
Yeah, so once he jumped into the pool, EMS workers were there as well. So were firefighters. They were able to pull this guy out through the window. He's okay. The pool's closed, though, because they have to drain it and clean it from the Tesla falling in it. Over in Ronkonkoma, police arrested a man yesterday after he tried to steal a car with 2 young kids inside outside a smoke shop. Cops say the father left his vehicle running while he briefly went into the smoke shop. Not a smart idea. That's when police allege Mustafa Atia saw this car, got into it. He attempted to drive away. There was a 6-year-old and a 5-year-old inside.
First of all, you ain't got to really be stealing nobody's car. But more importantly, if there was a child in there, you should have got up and just left and just kept going.
Yes, so lucky for these kids, lucky for the father. They saw what was going on outside. The father, a smoke shop worker, saw what was happening. They rushed outside the shop and they were able to call police. Responding officers were able to remove Atia from the car, place him under arrest. The kids are okay. Hopefully this father's got a lesson that you never leave the car running with young kids inside to get to a smoke shop or anything else for that matter.
So at what point do parents understand that do not run inside without your children at all? If it's 3 seconds or 2 seconds or 1 second.
Yeah, that'd be obvious to me, but all right. Police charged Adio with attempted grand larceny and endangering the welfare of a child.
Thanks for listening to the News Hour with Noam Laden. You can hear the News Hour with Noam Laden weekday mornings at 5 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?